now, despite the hysteria on the left. The Supreme Court ruling was a momentous decision that returns abortion law back to the states where it belongs, as it is not enumerated in the Constitution like the right to keep and to bear arms, which we discussed at length last night. Now, some states with the most liberal abortion laws that even allow third trimester abortions, take a look at your map, they will continue to allow them. That will include Alaska, Colorado, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, Washington, D.C. So while Democrats and the media mob predictably are demagoguing and lying about this very ruling, we'll give you the facts straight up, let you decide. Now, first, let us be very clear. This decision does not make abortion in America illegal. It does not. I know they're implying that. They're saying it even, but it does not. Instead, individual voters, you will now decide abortion law at the state level per the 10th Amendment of our Constitution. Now, remember, powers that are not enumerated in the Constitution, like the right to keep and bear arms, are reserved for the states. So again, in liberal states, there will be few, if any, restrictions on abortion, in some cases up until the very moment of birth. In fact, most states will continue to allow abortion at some level. There might be some restrictions in one state, different ones in another state. Here's the second fact about this ruling. Abortion was never enshrined in the U.S. Constitution as a right, and it was never codified in law. Instead, it became the status quo for 50 years because of activist judges pretending that they were the legislative branch of government, supposed to be separate, co-equal branches. They're not sometimes. As Greg Jarrett rightly pointed out in a great column on FoxNews.com, Roe v. Wade is just one of more than 230 times that the court has overruled this precious precedent that we often hear Democrats talking about. That would include Plessy versus Ferguson. That's what legalized segregation. Yeah, that precedent was done away with, rightly so. And that awful Dred Scott decision that upheld slavery, another example. In other words, overturning a precedent is not uncommon and, in many cases, as we just described, the right thing to do. Now, naturally, Roe v. Wade was always at the mercy of the courts, but don't take my word for it. Listen to far-left hero of the left, socialist herself, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Take a listen.
Roe became a symbol, I think, for the right to life movement. They had a single target to hit at. This decision, this most undemocratic decision by 9 justices who nobody elected to make policy for the country. My criticism of Roe is that it seemed to have stopped the momentum, which was, and the momentum was on the side of a change.
Now, Ginsburg's prediction has come true. She was right. Roe has now been overturned, and now this brings us to our third fact about today's ruling. The court's decision today is about abortion, and abortion alone. It's not about contraception. It's not about gay rights. It's not about interracial marriage, as many have been suggesting and lying about. In fact, the majority opinion makes this quite clear. Quote, to ensure that our decision is not misunderstood or mischaracterized, we emphasize our decision concerns the constitutional right to an abortion and no other right. Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion. Now, naturally, the media mob, Democrats, they're kind of conveniently ignoring the truth, the facts, the text in the ruling. Now, why let truth get in the way of a great political narrative? Sort of like January 6th. They want to use abortion, just like yesterday's Supreme Court ruling on the Second Amendment, as a wedge issue to fire up their base in the hopes that they may mitigate the pending losses that many are predicting. So, according to them, America's in peril, all because of evil Republicans and, of course, Donald Trump. Take a look.
This is as devastating a ruling as can be imagined.
This is a court that has just upended a half-century of law, of a constitutionally protected right to abortion that affects nearly every family across America in one way or another.
Listen, it's a heartbreaking betrayal of half of the country. Sorry, I'm getting, watching the women there. It's emotional. new debates over other rights that we thought were settled, the right to contraception, the right to same-sex marriage. All of those are thrown into question today.
This is going to be a legal civil war between the states.
This is monumental because it's the first time we've seen the court take away a right.
There really is a lot of people who believe this is a rigged court.
All right, top Democrats were just as dramatic and even more shameless with a ploy to turn this ruling into votes in November. Take a look for yourself.
This fall, we must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again. Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of Roe as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot. Personal freedoms are on the ballot.
Be aware of this. The Republicans are plotting a nationwide abortion ban. They cannot be allowed to have a majority in the Congress.
You have the power to elect leaders who will defend and protect your rights. And as the president said earlier today, with your vote, you can act, and you have the final word.
Now remember, they can't run on the great state of the economy because we have a 41-year high of inflation. They can't run on gas prices because we set record after record after record, and it's still going higher. They can't run on their foreign policy. They can't run on the damage they've done to our borders. But this is what they're going to run on. They're telegraphing it. They're saying it. They're being quite clear where they're headed with this. And it gets worse. Hillary Clinton tweeted today that today's opinion will live in infamy. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi followed up her rant about the election with a dramatic reading of a poem. Take a look.
From time to time, I quote this poem by Ehud Manor. Here is my home. I will not be silent, for my country has changed her face. Country has changed her face. I shall not give up on her. I shall remind her and sing into her ears until she opens her eyes. Clearly, we hope that the Supreme Court would open its eyes.
Now, Pelosi, of course, is Speaker in name only, but the real Speaker of the House, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was even more distraught today. Take a look for yourself.
What the Supreme Court just did was that they chose to endanger the lives of all women and all birthing people in this country. But not only that, they've chosen to strip rights from men, too. Because, frankly, the right to our own bodies and the right to form our families, this is something that belongs to all of us.
AOC also then went on and predicted that people will die because of the court's decision and even joined the protests outside of the Supreme Court, calling for people to take to the streets. At the same demonstration, her comrade, Maxine Waters, called for an insurrection against the court. Take a look.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Women are going to control their bodies no matter how they try and stop us. The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them. Women will be in control of their bodies.
Now, thankfully, there are fences, heavily armed guards in riot gear around the court. They're there for a reason. Ever since the majority opinion was leaked, the justices have been targeted with harassment, threats of violence, and, by the way, no condemnation from the Democrats, Joe Biden, his press secretary, other Democrats. Their addresses have been published online. Protesters showing up at their homes. A man traveling from California to the front door of Justice Kavanaugh in what was an attempt at an assassination, a plot to assassinate him. We have, in the case of Amy Coney Barrett, you got the name of her kid's school and location, the church she goes to, the time she goes to church. Wow. Radicals have vandalized dozens of anti-abortion pregnancy centers all across the U.S., breaking windows, lighting fires, spray painting the message, if abortions aren't safe, then neither are you. Now, a militant group named Jane's Revenge that took credit for many of these attacks is calling for tonight to be a night and a summer of rage. The group declared, quote, open season on pro-life Americans, claiming that it was fun and easy to attack conservatives. They even hinted at future attacks that might be much worse than fire and graffiti. And yet Maxine Waters, other Democrats, the media mob, they're not calling for calm. Instead, they're whipping up their radical supporters into a frenzy tonight. It's almost as if they don't actually respect our institutions. And let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago, Joe Biden himself was very much against abortion. Take a look.
Tell me about abortion. Where do you stand, and how will you face that issue as a candidate?
It's going to be very difficult. I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.